Hey guys, it's Jason J. Rice here, and you guys know this is another conversation with friends episode. So what I like to do is have my friends that are in the business that I'm in get together, do a conversation surrounded by something that we're both interested in. You guys know I'm a big bourbon connoisseur, and I like spirits. So I'm here with Michael Eddy. He's a loan officer, but he also has that same. Well, he's a little bit deeper in the passion of loving spirits than me. He loves spirits and he loves baking outside of helping everyone, understand the loan process and get into their mortgage. So we're just going to jump into it. So what are we making today, Michael?
So we are making a Sloe Gin Fizz today. It is a really fun drink, and I think you're gonna like it. So, yeah.
I really do not like gin, so I'm very interested to see how I'm going to like this.
He didn't tell me this until I set everything up, and he was like, "Oh, it's gin." I was like, "I should have chosen something."
No,
I should have asked. But it is a little bit different. It's not a typical gin. It is a slow gin. So It's a bit of a gin base, but then it has sloe berries on top of it. And so if you don't love gin, this is a really good one to get interested in gin.
Okay, so and the way you said that, so I'm from rural North Carolina, and so this is just how I equate things. Like, sorry for I don't know these people for real or whatever, but you guys all watch that show, Distiller Masters or something like that. So when he says that, so is that kind of like when you say like slow gin is kind of made with cherries on top? So that's kind of like when they put like cherries in the mash and they do like moonshine in a way, or no?
So this one is a little bit different. So this one's actually, you can always tell the difference between those things when you're at the store. First of all, it's got a color that is I mean, you probably can't see that at home, but it's more of a red color versus an amber. And amber is on oak.
Yeah.
This is.
So when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is an interesting oaky amber bourbon I've never seen before. So cool. Like, I never really. They're like, no, it's actually gin. I'm like, I don't know, but cool.
I think you're gonna like it.
All right, I think I'm gonna like it too. As we go through this, guys, it's the holiday season, so we're trying to give you guys a different approach to impressing your holiday guests this season. And again, like Michael's into this, and he's also into baking, but baking would be a 3-hour conversation.
Next time.
Because you know how baking is. I can't wait to taste something that he bakes, because it's just gonna be wonderful. But I'm interested in tasting this. As we go through this, we're also gonna talk to you guys about the loan and the real estate world and where we are right now.
All that other stuff.
Yeah, all that other stuff. But let's just jump into this.
Cool. All right. So, want to take your shaker and then grab your jigger, and we are doing the large side, 1.5 ounces. And the thing that a lot of people miss with these is that the line is 1.5 ounces. So you want to go all the way up to that line, or else you're not going to get the right ratios.
Okay, so is that why when I get to when I go to the bar and I'm like, oh man, they pour me a really hefty pour, they're just making sure that they get to the 1.5 ounce mark.
Exactly.
Because that's what it's called for.
Yep. All the way up. Feels like it's about to overflow. The water tension will keep it in the jigger, so you're good to go.
All right, cool. 'Cause I did that and I was like, I'm gonna over pour. But that's cool.
There's a fantastic book by a guy named Dave Arnold that's called Liquid Intelligence.
Okay.
My wife calls it my chemistry textbook because it is a textbook.
Okay.
And he at some point went through and measured it, and he was like, if you fill it up to just below the line versus if you fill it up and it's, how you get the bubble on top of things, right? And you go all the way up, the difference in there is almost 1/4 ounce, or to 1/8 to 1/4 ounce, depending on, how wide it is, that kind of thing. So the difference between those things is going to make a huge difference in the ratios of a lot of cocktails, especially if you're trying to get it to, a barstool or something.
Okay.
So,
So how, as we continue to make this, tell everyone how you got into the loan mortgage business and, what intrigued you about it.
Absolutely. So loans are. So I started with real estate. I was a real estate agent for about 4 years, and then I had a couple of rough months, and so it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't love this portion of it, and I got a call from somebody who needed a loan officer assistant, and it was just kind of perfect timing. Got into the loan officer assistant role first, and then moved from there through processing a few other things, and then eventually became a loan officer. And this is several years back now, and it's been good. It's been really good. I, at the same time that I was getting out of real estate, getting into loan officer assistant role, I also got my finance degree and I got my MBA. And so it's kind of, it just fit, it just worked out really well. So yeah, good timing essentially.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love when you talk to guys, are like, yeah, I'm a loan officer, but I also have my MBA in finance, and I understand the charts, and I understand, like, we all don't have a crystal ball, but I can read it and kind of give you like a glance at what we, in the short run, what it could be meaning, in the long run, what it could be meaning, and how you want to pivot and what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Especially, like, you guys know, like, I'm always trying to tell people, hey, you should try and leverage real estate while you can. The best time to buy anything is today or 30 years ago. And we're seeing that where like people like I was talking to someone who's like, how are these people affording like $4 million for a house? I was like, well, because they bought their home 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're now in their 60s. They've equated some wealth in their real estate purchases, and then they're like, hey, I can go buy this $4 million home. And you're thinking like, because we thinking like it's a bunch of celebrities that are buying these. It's really people that, what I find is it's small businesses, small business owners that understood that, hey, if I leverage this, then if I had someone that teaches me more about finance, and then how to leverage that, it's a win. It's almost like the two and two go together.
Well.
Hand in hand.
Absolutely. I'll throw a stat at you here that I find fascinating. The average retiree's wealth, 80% of the average retiree's wealth is in their home, in their primary residence. So that means the 401ks, all of the investments, all of the other assets, everything else is 20% of the average United States' retirees' portfolio.
Yeah.
So it is, I'll look at a lot of people from, for moving from like New York, they've been renting their entire lives because Manhattan, you can't really buy very many places unless you have a lot of money. And they're retiring and they move somewhere else, especially down to like Florida. I do a lot of business in Florida, and they will say, this is my first purchase, and they're retiring. And it's fascinating looking at that perspective versus the first-time home buyer's perspective of a 20-year-old. And it's very similar perspective at the end of the day because of that wealth gap there, because they didn't invest early. Yeah, and it's not about timing the market. It's about timing in the market.
Yeah, time in and that's the key thing. Like, like me and my wife, we had a great point where we bought right before COVID, and we saw those huge swing in gains, and a whole bunch of my friends did. So then they were like, hey, I kind of hate this 2-bedroom condo that I bought. Let's go buy something for real. And I'm like, dude, you got a gain there. You bought it for like 100. You got 100 in. It's like, it's crazy when you really think about it, and then you're thinking like 30 years into something, or people are like, oh man, but it keeps me kind of stagnant, and I don't want to live somewhere for 30 years. I'm like, guys, like, every time I talk to someone, especially like there's another guy that I know that's in mortgages too, and he's always like, the worst thing that I ever did in life is like sold his house, kind of like Morrison Ranch area. He's like, the worst thing that I ever did was sell that house.
Yep.
He's like, I bought it in like 1995
for like 75 cents.
Yes. And if you don't know, but now that neighborhood goes for well over $1 million. Like, and he bought it for like $75,000. He said, and I'm like, he's like, and at that time I was like, dude, that's crazy, but. Yeah. So what's our next step?
All right. So next is going to be lemon juice. Quick side note here, and future Jason can edit this out if he wants to. This is actually acid-adjusted lemon juice, acid-adjusted pineapple juice, because we don't have any lemons, so we're making do, and it's much easier to do that than people think.
Yes. And Okay, so I will just say this. Okay, this isn't the first time we're shooting this, and I want to keep this in so people know how funny it is to go through and make mistakes.
It's really funny.
So, the first time we did it, he has fresh squeezed lemons because he has lemons in his backyard or limes in his backyard. But he also has a lemon tree, grapefruit tree, and an orange tree. So I tell that because as you guys are thinking about where can I move to, because people think of Arizona when they think it's hot all year. It's not 100 degrees all year. We really do wish. I don't wish it was 100 degrees all year.
No.
But it's not hot all year, and we do grow a lot of citrus here. Amongst other things, which is like crazy because I think I was driving somewhere where we drove to Florence, and I actually saw like cotton, which is crazy, to me. Like
so we're in Ahwatukee right now. The entirety of Ahwatukee before the 80s, before they subdivided everything, was citrus and cotton. The entire thing.
Yeah.
And if you just go that way across the highway, there's a lot of farms out there. It's a lot of cotton.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's weird because I'm from North Carolina, and it's all you see is cotton and tobacco and corn. Those are the big crops, and I'm like, dude, this feels like except for the big blue sky and not a lot of trees growing above like 20, 30 feet.
Yeah.
But I just want to tell that to people because it's interesting. So, and I want to also tell people like when you make mistakes, just continue to go, and it's life. You just continue to do things.
Exactly.
But cool. So, how much of this do we need?
So 1 ounce of lemon juice.
Okay.
There you go.
And guys, he's so much of he's such a he's like, you know what? We did it this way. I could squeeze more lemons, but this is going to be easier, and it's going to give a different taste. Which I told him, I don't really like. I'm into cigars, I'm in all that stuff, and people are like, oh, I got these notes and these notes, and I'm like, no, I don't know what notes I got. It's smooth. I like it. It's it's one of those things. It's enjoyable. It's tasty.
Yeah, and I feel like you should be able to taste the difference here with the pineapples.
Okay.
And so kind of going back a little bit to the gardening piece. So we have a big raised bed garden in my backyard. I'm sure you can't see it with the way the lighting is. But I'm growing a bunch of fruit in there, a bunch of vegetables. Several people online that I'm connected with will grow cantaloupe, they'll grow watermelon, they'll grow peach trees, like we do apricot trees here, like tons and tons of things. I've got tons of olives back here, all the herbs. Like it's a fantastic place. If you like gardening, this is the place to be because we don't have nearly as many pests, but we have a lot of sun, so you get that.
Okay.
That's really nice.
So we're gonna dive deep because I got more questions on this gardening thing.
Fantastic.
What because people think, okay, well, it's a desert, and it's a garden. How? Because like when I go, so typically when I'm touring homes with people that aren't from here, they're like, you know what, I actually want grass, and I'm like, dude, like that's going to take a lot of water to to continue to keep a lush green. Might as well just put turf in the backyard. You know what I mean? But you're speaking of like gardening, so like my thought is like you need a lot of water to do that.
So this is a really interesting thing. Do you know what the most watered crop in the United States is?
No.
Grass.
Okay.
The most watered by far, bar none, is grass. Next is one of the actual crops that we eat, like cotton, whatever. But grass is the most watered crop. And it's fascinating because the grass, the amount of water that grass takes, especially when it's dry here, is absolutely obscene. But when you look at something like a carrot, which is actually going to produce something you want to eat, or a cantaloupe, or a cucumber, or something like that, those are traditionally tomatoes, traditionally very much a water hog crop. But in reality, when you compare it to like grass, it covers a way bigger area, and it doesn't need as much water. So yes, you need more water to grow things here, but quite frankly, like we have ways around that, and you have a better crop yield, which means you also need to buy fewer groceries, and everybody knows grocery prices are high. So you save a little bit of well, you spend a lot of money on the gardening stuff to save a tiny bit of money on your one strawberry you got.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, and so like the turf argument. I personally don't like turf just because it gets really, really hot and it can smell, and there is actually a lot of upkeep you need with turf.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I have out here a low water crop, Carapia. And so it takes about 1/10 of the amount of water that grass does, but it's a ground cover that grows well in a desert environment. And it's just a really interesting, good way of covering your lawn rather than having to overseed and then overwinter. Because here it's weird, you have to do the one type of grass during the summer and then the one during the winter, and they each kill each other and die. And so you just put the one out and you're good to go.
Okay, cool.
So it's nice.
Cool. Learn something. I always like learning something new as part of my journal. I always like I saw it today. I learned something new. Because I was always like, dude, but crappie. I'm going to tell my clients crappie. Use that as far as their grass. But with the turf thing, I enjoy. I'm not like, because it's weird. All right, because I have dogs and I hate when because almost like, so it gets hot, and especially in the summertime. In the wintertime, I don't do it so much, but in the summertime, like before I let my dogs in the backyard, I'm in the backyard spraying the turf down with water, so it can cool off a little bit.
You almost have to put it in your irrigation system to cool it off.
Yeah.
And it's like, honestly, my Carapia uses about as much water as your turf does.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, then you have to go through and clean it out every year or so because of the all that. So yeah.
Interesting facts that you learned about.
There you go.
Sorry, so we did the lemon juice. Now we're doing the pomegranate.
Grenadine. So typically most people just use simple syrup. So go ahead and just use a simple syrup, and that's just 1 part water to 1 part sugar. This is grenadine, and so we already talked about this. This is the second time we're filming this. So most people think grenadine is a cherry flavor. It's not. It's actually a pomegranate flavor. So if you want to make your own your own grenadine at home, 1 part pomegranate juice to 1 part sugar.
Okay.
And very simple, very easy. And we want 3/4 of an ounce of this.
Cool. And then the first time when it all came up, I was like, you know what? Because he makes all his stuff. I'm like, he can just make his clients their own like version of this, and it could be cool. It could be like their own that's a cool idea, right? So we making this, and we're like, hey, if you guys ever want to make this yourself, just in the description, just let us know, and how much I need.
3/4 ounce, so it's going to be right up to that line right there.
We can send you a small, that I don't know, just an idea. We probably won't do it. But if we
if there's enough interest, we can make something happen.
Yeah, if there's enough interest, we can send you a starter kit to make what we're making today, and all of the fresh. If you're in Arizona, because I don't want to do all the shipping, and then it gets to you, and then it's like, why is this juice not fresh? You know what I mean? Like if you're in Arizona, you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. We could drop off small, you would get they would make that in a shot glass. Well, we'll give you all the other stuff. You get your own slow gin. Because that way you could.
Because then we're not dealing alcohol. It's
a whole
all the legal stuff.
Yeah, all the legal stuff. But because I tried the pomegranate grenadine, but it's made with pomegranate, and he makes it homemade. So it's so much better, and it's really awesome. So that's why I got into that competition.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'd be happy to maybe if there's enough interest, maybe we can do a bar takeover or something like that. That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be cool.
So
so next question, just more on the real estate side. What are you seeing right now? Where we're in a weird aggressive market when it comes aggressive market when it comes to aggressive market when it comes to how to get out of the rate discussion. And if you have the most perfect pristine home, we're in an aggressive market where people don't even give a crap about the rate or whatever. They're like, this is the perfect home. I don't care how much over I have to pay. I'm gonna pay it. And I know it sounds like people are doing that, but guys, I'm telling you right now, it is happening.
It's fascinating. There's at very particular prices. It seems like there's a lot of of competition, and then at other prices and other styles and other areas, there's no competition. And so it's just a weird market, and quite frankly, it's one that I think it was brought about because of the rate increases and because of that kind of boom because of the rate increases. And so now that there was that massive amount of sales, and so now it's like, okay, we all need to take a bit of a step back, and I think we've all done that this year.
Yes.
Or at least it feels like it. And so everybody's holding their breath after all the things. And so now it feels like, okay, rates have basically stabilized. We're starting to go down just a little tiny bit, which is nice. And as long as that continues, I don't think we're going to see very much of a price decrease in the market, simply because there's a lot of people that bought cash, right? A lot of people bought cash. And so there's a lot of real value in the market. And then you've got these, you've got a lot of people who are worried about their interest rate and worried about their monthly payment, which is completely reasonable. And so there's a lot of question around, okay, what do we do about that? And a lot of people just have to wait until the rates come down, which kind of sucks. So my advice to a lot of people is just go in, buy what makes sense for you if you're currently renting. And then go through and purchase the next thing when you get there, and either rent out that first property or sell it and make a little bit of money. I don't see anything wrong with that strategy. For sure.
I don't either. So one of my friends works, like, he's like, now he has his real estate license and he's like getting back into the flow of things, but he works at this like luxury apartment building in Tempe. So I went and met him, like we were going to do lunch. So I met him and I was just like watching all the like the high-end cars pull in.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is insane. There's a lot of high-end cars pulling in. And then I asked him, like, dude, like, all right, tell me what the lowest apartment, like what the 800 square foot apartment rents for.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yeah, the 800 square foot apartment rents for $1,500 a month. I was like, okay, that you save a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's 800 square foot. It's like basically the size of this kitchen.
Yeah.
That we're in.
Yeah.
But it's $1,500 a month, and he's like, but that's just if you're. But he's like, that's if you're perfect. If your credit score, if you're all that, is absolutely 700. Like if you're like, you're like, we're going to tack on a little bit more, and then like it's weird how they equate all that. I'm like, that kind of sucks. And then he's like, our 3-bedroom. He's like, it rents for like $3,500 a month. I was like, that's typically what a house is right now. Yeah, I'm like, dude, people are just throwing. I know every realtor in the world is saying like, you're throwing money away, right? Because we're like, please buy something with us. I understand, but
it's also true.
But it's really true. And I'm telling people, like, if you're, let's say you're a couple. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're a couple and you're living in this 800 square foot for $1,500 a month, very tight space, right? You're a couple. You have no kids. You have nothing yet. Like, what's the harm in being like, you know what? I'm gonna trade this $1,500 for $2,500, but I'm gonna get 1,200 square foot. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get a townhouse. I'm gonna get a condo. I'm gonna get something that where I can trade it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to teach people. People are like, well, how are people affording it? Conversation from earlier. Yeah. How are people affording these luxury style homes? Because they don't go into their first home thinking it's their forever home. They go into it knowing the kids are going to outgrow this space. We're going to outgrow this space. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to sell it, make a little money, take that money and buy the new place. Mm-hmm. Put all the money in. I mean, and you could speak more about, I'm just put all the money into the new place, like down payment, closing costs, all that. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't cost you anything out of pocket. Mm-hmm. And then you have a bigger space. Maybe you might go up in payment just a little bit, but not anything that's going to kill you. Yeah. And that's my concept. Right? I'm like telling people, don't buy for where you want to be, buy for where you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
it's amazing how how much more wealth somebody has in retirement when they purchase early. I mean, I this is my favorite fun fact within the lending space. 80% of a retiree's wealth is in their home, is in their primary residence. So 401ks, scraping and saving to put into retirements, to do all these other things, all these other assets, 80% of your wealth at retirement, on average, is in your home. So, yeah, if you don't buy a house and you retire, you're missing out on a huge chunk of that because you have spent, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month on a home over the past 30 years, or however many it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that difference is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But cool. What's our next step here?
So the next one, definitely not required. So don't worry about trying to get it at home if you don't want to. But it's very easy to make a saline solution.
Okay.
And so I just add a eyedropper full of saline solution. Salt will bring out and balance sweetness in any drink. So you get a bit more of a balanced drink whenever you add that.
And the saline, did you make that too, or is that something that...
I did. It is 20% by weight salt and 80% water.
Okay.
So I make literally an ounce. Heat water up to boiling, add in the salt, and then shake it up, and that's it.
Okay. Cool.
It's very easy, and like I said, I feel like I've done side by side to make a drink, make another one with saline.
Okay.
And the one with saline absolutely is better.
Okay.
But again, it's a matter of it's not necessary by any means.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So yeah, and then next is another one that is very small quantities, but I feel like adds quite a bit to the drink, and that is Angostura bitters.
Okay.
And that's just 2 dashes there. It's like salt and pepper in your food. It's
okay.
to taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You ready for this?
Yep.
All right.
And we're doing ice now.
So we're gonna add ice. And you want to add it to the other shaker tin. While we're making all the noise on camera.
Oh no, it's good. That's how if you notice, I tend to stop talking when we're doing stuff like this.
Makes sense. All right. So what you're going to want to do is pour the liquid into the ice so you don't get a lot of splashing, and then we're going to shake for about 10 seconds or until your hands go numb.
Okay.
And then give it a smack on the side. So you want to see where the crack, it's up against the edge, and then it's big here. You're going to smack it on
the edge side. All right,
yeah.
Cool. I smacked the small side, and then I have to try and
get the muscle it off.
Yeah.
You got the muscle, so it's good. But All right, and then double strain. And the double straining just catches any additional pulp from the juice, and also all those ice shards in there too. Right. Cool.
So let's do it over here because I don't know why I was going to do it over here. So how did you get into, I guess, I don't want to call it, I'm going to call it spirits. How did you get into, alcohol making? Well, no, that's, we all got into alcohol.
It's like the Navy is the easy answer.
Okay, cool.
How I got into, so just give it a tap on the side there. That's the easiest way that I've found at least.
Okay.
And then I'll just stick that in there. I like to stick the garnish in a little bit early because then you get the right amount of soda water. Not a big deal. So how did I get into fun cocktails like this? So I'm a snob. When it comes to food and drink, I'm a bit of a snob. And so I've just always been, I want to make it again and again and again and again until it's perfect. And so while I was in the Navy, had a couple of roommates, and it was really funny because, they'd buy a bunch of alcohol and be like, all right, I want to make a margarita, but I want to make a good margarita. So I go through and make it like, this isn't quite right. And so I hand it to them, and they'd be like, they don't make it. It's tequila, it doesn't matter. And then I make it again, not quite right, hand it to the other one, make it again. Hey, that's perfect, all right, this is mine. And so I just because I could get away with that, starting at 21, of course, that was, it just became a very easy, I can do that over and over and over again. And of course my roommates loved it, because then they didn't have to make the margaritas, and
it's I always ask people that question, because for me, I'm kind of like you. I'm like, I like nice things, and then I like my food and my beverage to be nice. But then I got like anything, like once you start going down the rabbit hole, it just becomes, okay, how can I get really entwined into the community? How can I get but I'm not
most people should not be.
But I like cigars, so I'm very into okay, well, I'll try that, I'll try this, and I have my favorites. And now I'm starting to learn how to roll cigars. It's kind of cool, but then again, it's like, all right, I've been to a couple classes, and I'm like, do I want to do this at home? But then I researched how much it costs to get all the materials and do it at home. I'm like, yeah, we're just going to keep doing the classes here and there.
Yeah.
But
so kind of pulling back over to the gardening side, I actually really want to grow tobacco.
Okay.
Partially because tobacco, the tobacco chemical in the leaves is actually a pesticide, and so you plant that with other plants, and it actually stops a lot of pests. And so, I really want to do that. And then when I get those, we'll roll some.
Yeah. Because crazy thing about growing up in North Carolina, I never thought I didn't notice it until I was like, Dad, do you remember all these because they used to because you got to dry it out. You know what I mean? So there was bales, these weird random I guess shacks in the back of people's houses in rural North Carolina where they would just keep stacks of tobacco. And now I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, dude, I kind of like cigars. And it's a weird thing. You're like, well, where's the North Carolina cigar company or maker? Maybe they have it, but I've never seen them. And it's like one of those weird things that you don't think about. But I got into all of this just kind of like you, young, I got into I guess finer alcohol because I'm a Bond fan. So I was like, okay, cool. I like gin, and I figured that was just back in the day, probably not. And then I was like, and then I got out of it, maybe because I drank it too much. Because I thought it was cool to say yeah, I'm a gin drinker.
Yeah.
And it's weird for a 21-year-old to be like, I like gin. It's the oldest manest thing to say somewhere. You just want to be cool, and then
you don't actually want a dry martini.
No. Yeah, I don't actually, but this sounds great. And you're drinking, you're just yeah, and then you just get used to it. You're like, okay. You get older, you're like, okay, I like the refiner taste of things, But cool. So let's taste this guy.
I poured over. This is just club soda, soda water, carbonated water, whatever you want to call it. Over while we're talking, and so it does give it that foamy top, which is really fun. But I let that settle a little bit, add a little bit more. Drop your straw in, and and then this, obviously the garnish is a mint. The classic garnish on here is a lime and a cherry.
Okay.
I personally don't love that garnish because I think that's kind of deeper tone. You want the mint to waken it up a little bit more. So lighten it up a little bit more. So there you go. Sloe Gin Fizz.
Sloe Gin Fizz. Cheers. Yeah, it's really good. So, guys, and what I like about, it's still about the presentation. Even when I make drinks at home, my wife's like, like even I plate food, I do anything that's like even like I don't like doing dishes, so it's weird. So I have this like immaculate presentation on like paper plate, and my wife's like,
yes, I love it.
she's like, what? She's like, you sure you don't want to use good plates? I was like, yeah, I don't like doing dishes, so this is how the food is going to be prepared. And the same way when I do, like drinking or like here lately, I've been like trying to perfect the Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So like it's really like how do I explain this? Like what's that bourbon? It's like all lemon. Anyway, but yeah, it's like pretty much I can't think of the name of the drink, but it's basically the ingredients is like it's like a whiskey sour, except for with the red wine float. That's the best way to explain a Brooklyn.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah. So I think of that. I think of the New York Sour, which is literally just a whiskey sour with a red wine float. Like
so
a port float.
It's probably I was like how I got into it is probably like someone's like saying this is a New York Sour doesn't sound great. So
there is a different cocktail called the Brooklyn.
Okay.
That's why I was like, I think that's a Manhattan, but slightly different.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And I'm like it's not quite right. So then I was like, you know what? I bought the wrong wine. So I go and I'm like, so now she's like, we're not wasting a $40 bottle of wine for you to make. And I'm like, hey, but it's gonna be she's like,
it's a tasty drink.
Yeah, it is. But cool. So I guess we can continue our conversation about our thing. Like I'm a geek when it comes to real estate now. Absolutely. I used to be a geek when it came to like film and video and stuff. But when I started understanding, and again, like I always tell people, as much as we make it sound so difficult, it is one of the most simplest concepts ever, to my opinion. But like, what would you say? And just of course, I guess how would you say that in like a lender's terms? Like, what is your best advice that you're giving to like clients that come? Yeah, this would be a better question. Like, what are you giving to like advice to clients that are coming that maybe they're not quite ready, maybe they're scared of the market, or maybe they're just not, like when you look at all their financials, like maybe they're just not financially ready. Before you answer that, I do want to take a quick, for all you guys that are afraid to use your realtor friend because you think that we're going to get some glimpse of your financial ability and you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't want you to see any of that. I don't get to see any of that. The only thing that I can say, hey, Michael, are they good to go buy a house? He's going to say, yeah, they're good at this price. And favorably a little bit lower, and let's try and negotiate some concessions or like that. That is all I get. Even if I'm like, hey, man, this is my best friend. Like he's driving a Lamborghini. Like, tell me, did he buy that or is it, you know what I'm saying? But
I actually just closed on two files with a guy who he and the realtor were basically best friends. His family and this realtor's family, and so he kept like, I don't want her to see anything. Like, there's no way that she's going to see anything. You don't see any of my systems. I don't see any of yours. It's very, very separate, and that's for that reason. Like, you want to be able to use someone you trust. That's the biggest thing in real estate. This is a massive, massive transaction. And quite frankly, the other piece is most people are going through, so let me back up here a little bit. Do you know what the top 5 most stressful life events are?
Divorce, death, bankruptcy. And
bankruptcy is actually number like 6, I think. But
okay.
Yeah. That most people go through.
And
just the opposite of those two.
I would say maybe like a terminal illness, like finding out you have a terminal illness.
Yeah, I'd categorize that under death. Okay. So there's death, divorce, and then the opposite of those two, marriage and birth.
Okay.
Those are the 4 biggest things. The 5th is buying a house. That is the 5th most stressful thing you'll do in your life, is buying a house.
And so And my mind is so random because
Yeah.
we're the holiday season,
Yeah.
right? What's your favorite part about? Well, are you a holiday person?
Uh, I'm very selective holiday
Okay.
person. I like specific things. I my one of my favorite things to answer your question is my son and I, and my daughter is getting old enough now that she can join in. We set up a Lego village. So we went through and we bought the Lego train and we bought the Lego stuff. And so we have a whole village, and every year we're just adding like one set to it, one small set. Um, and it's really fun to sit down and do. It's a big project, and do that with them throughout the process of throughout the month of the entire month of December, because it takes forever to put those together.
That's kind of cool. Like
It's fun.
That reminds me of my childhood. One of my neighbors. So my neighbors growing up, so in one of the kids' room they changed it to like kind of like that, but they built like a big train track, like city, the entire, and it's like it becomes like, and they do it like I used to go over there, I help them do it. It would be like, oh, this is fun, you know what I mean? You're not really thinking about it, but they build an entire like train track city, like let's say they're, maybe I'm embellishing a little bit, but let's say half of
you're a kid, like that's absolutely what happens.
Yeah,
that's
let's say it's the half of this room right here, and it's like the train will start on the floor and like go up and like do all these crazy things, but we build it from December 1st to their Christmas party was like December 23rd, and then like so from the 21st we'd all go over there. We spent like an hour building stuff, and then the boys would be like, all the boys would be like, yeah, we're outside. Girls, you guys build it. We're going to go have a good time. Or my friend had a younger brother too, so the younger kids would stay in and do that, and we're just like, dude, we're done. We're going to go play football or do something crazy. But yeah, honestly, like I used to hate Christmas. So a lot of people know why. Like my birthday's the day after Christmas, so I used to feel like it was very. I was like, it's a little, like as a kid, I was like, oh, this is cool. As I got older and wanted to do parties and have parties with my friends, like, I hate this.
You can't do that.
And then I married the most amazing person in the world, whose favorite holiday is Christmas. Even though it's weird, my mom's favorite holiday is Christmas too. And I used to think like, well, she's excited because she's about to celebrate her son's birthday. She's not. She's excited.
That's what she's excited.
Yeah, she's excited about. No, she's excited about Christmas, and she thought she was going to have like me as her Christmas gift, and I was born a day later, so it was cool. But
Boxing Day gift.
Yeah, so I don't really, but now since moving out here, and of course like having my own house and an apartment and being able to decorate it, I'm getting more into the Christmas spirit and doing all those things. But like the one thing I do love about this season is we find where I've been doing a lot of, I guess, volunteering, and I'm finding a lot of joy in that this season.
That's cool. I like that.
But yeah,
I like that. I kind of going back to that, I feel like part of the reason that I never really enjoyed Christmas when I was a kid, I don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Christmas, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I do now. That's a good way of putting it. Is just simply because I grew up in Alaska, and so it's kind of one of those like, are you gonna have a white Christmas? Well, of course we are. It's Alaska. Like it's gonna snow, and it's probably gonna have snowed like 3 weeks earlier, and it'll be brown snow now. It's just cold and it's dark, and it's fun to sit and bake and do all those things. But now that I've got my own house and we can decorate how we want to, and we're setting up our own traditions. It's just completely different, and it's really nice and it's really fun.
Yeah.
And it's much more fun to decorate palm trees and oleanders than it is to sit out in the snow.
Oh yeah.
Decorating a pine tree that's natural.
Yeah. I mean, I've never set out because growing up in North Carolina, I've never had to do a lot of snow during. Sometimes there's snow during Christmas, but not as often as you would think. And. Yes, I remember my mom, she liked to decorate the house. You know what I'm saying? But she's very minimal about, we had these 2 small trees in our front yard. So we decorate that, but and then our neighbors would their house would almost be decorated with lights all over it, almost like your gingerbread house.
Oh yeah.
And this was before, so this was like in the 90s. So this was before, like, now I see people cheating.
Mm-hmm.
In Arizona, people cheat. People pay a company to come and hang lights.
Yeah. I was in a network group.
And I'm like,
they make a lot of money doing that too.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But my like, that was part of our leading up to like December. Like, that was part of our Thanksgiving chores.
Yes.
So like, at the time it was my neighbor, so he was my best friend. He's like, bro, I gotta hang these lights before I can go play. I'm like, well, I'll help you, so you can come play.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? So it'd be like, dude, this, and now you're like, this kind of sucks. But then like, when you see it all lit up, you're like, wow, this is insane. But yeah, that's just kind of how my Christmases were as a kid, you know?
Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend was like the weekend. Yeah. And now that we've got, you know, all the families, it's like, okay, well, you have to do all these other things, and I'm exhausted. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
how do I rally?
Yeah, how do you rally? You're like, Sunday after Thanksgiving, we're gonna do all the and then if you're like me, I'm like, yeah, when are the in-laws coming? They'll be here next week. All right, well, this is like, because we're literally finishing. Like, I think we talked about it earlier off camera. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm just finishing up my Christmas decorations now.
I literally started mine last night, and it is December 13th.
You know, but it's like cool. It's like one of those things, you're just trying to get it up for the kids, and you know, it's a cool time. But I'm not going to take too much more of your time. Is there anything else you want to leave the audience with?
No, I mean, you know, if you guys make this drink, definitely let us know in the comments how it is, because I really enjoy this one. It's a really fun one.
It's again, I don't like gin, and I love this drink. Like, it's something that I'm gonna add to my bar at home, just because I can make this, and I think my wife will love it, because she's like a sweeter tequila kind of you know. I've started making old fashions with tequila, because she's like, I don't like bourbon. I'm like, I only know how to make two things really good. So that's it. I do, like, you know, dabble and things like that, and try new things. Like, especially in the summertime, I make but it's easy. I make like a frozen cherry. I don't know what they call it, but it's like, I do cherries in my smoothies. So I just take frozen cherries, put it in a blender, and then I take, you know, I don't really take like a scoop of the syrup from the Marciano cherries. Put it in the blender, and then about, I don't know, I'm not very good at measuring, but a lot of bourbon, put it in the blender and blend it up, and it's an amazing summer drink to sit outside and have a cigar, especially in our summers. But that's just, I try to create things, and I don't know the names of what I'm creating or anything like that, but cool.
We'll have to do another one of these in the summer and do a shrub. Okay. It sounds weird, but it's a vinegar-based cocktail with rum. Okay. Again, it sounds super weird. It is the best summer drink. Okay. In my opinion, especially when it's 110 outside, you want something refreshing. Best summer drink out there.
Great.
It sounds weird.
It sounds, well, I mean, it also sounds weird. Like, are you and this is gonna, like, so this time of year, like, we do a lot of like collard greens or turnip greens for food, and I actually have to, like, you know how people put hot sauce on their food? I have to put vinegar on mine. It's weird, you know?
Fair enough. So you don't love this stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. But guys, thank you for tuning in. If you stayed for the whole video, we definitely appreciate you. If you saw some of the cut-ups, watch the whole thing. It's very entertaining. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. Bye.
Peace.